off the board.
Yeah, 6-1 record for Shernfire during the regular season and in playoffs on that champion. So making sure he doesn't have that early kind of aggressive playmaker that could throw off Stomaged, because the way that SuperMassive had lost their games this split was through Stomaged getting behind and bullied in the jungle. That's how they fell behind, and that's how they kind of lost those games that they did.
Yeah, and of course, rare for that to happen, but if it's something that Direwolves can exploit, it would be huge. And the bans coming in from the Direwolves, already seeing some focus onto SnowFlower. His Thresh, absolutely legendary. Do not want to put that in his hands.
Yeah, SnowFlower, formerly of Afrika Freaks and Jin Air back in Korea in the LCK, and he was pretty much a great playmaker, kind of the heart of the team for a while.
He was a great playmaker in the LCK, and now he's a great playmaker in the TCL. And you know, if you give him that Thresh, he's going to be a great playmaker here in the play-in stage.
See, GBM, speaking of playmakers, somebody who's played things like a Lowy mid, very unique champions come out for him. He likes to have that spotlight on him, and this is actually his first international appearance. Despite being somebody who has played in multiple different regions, this is his first time playing across borders in a tournament.
And it's weird to think about that. That's such a storied player. This is the first time he hits the stage, but you know that just puts more pressure on him to showcase a good performance. Now catching up with the bans, Xayah and Swain taken away. Swain, despite nerfs, still seeing high priority, and of course Xayah, just a crazy strategy.
Yeah, Caitlyn, Xayah, Rakan are all up. If you ban one, you have to kind of expect the others to come through. The Morgana, I like this because this means that it's not a kind of 100% first pick Caitlyn. Because if you first pick Caitlyn, they can take Rakan away. If you take Rakan here, they can take Xayah, but you get yourself the Caitlyn on the other side, and it's a good pairing. So I actually think that they go for the Rakan here to break up the combo, and that means you get Caitlyn, and if they take Xayah, then you still have it. It just feels like it's you forcing them to break up the combo or give it to you. So I think Direwolves actually should let Xayah Rakan go through, and they should go Karma Caitlyn here for a shoving winning lane.
And we know already how much they value that lane priority, how much they like to play with those pushing lanes in the early game to set them up for success. Instead, though, they are going to take the Skarner. Give SuperMassive the chance to take the Caitlyn away if they want it, but they may just go for the synergy of the Lovers duo. And of course, Zirene, we've already seen in the meta, both Karma and the Rakan as well. 100% pick banned yesterday, and it seems the trend is just continuing today.
Yeah, and Karma is a flex pick. You can play it in the mid lane, you can play it in the support. Same thing with Rakan. We haven't seen the mid lane Rakan, the full AP come out just
Every
yet.
time it comes up, we want to see it. We've seen what it can do in solo queue. We've seen the highlight reels. We want to see it here on the stage. Maybe this is the game where it comes out. For now, though, SuperMassive just matching the jungle pick. At least it appears for now. The Trundle remains a flex.
I'm actually surprised that Trundle wasn't picked up by the Direwolves, just because I think it's a very aggressive pick. It doesn't farm as heavily as the Skarner, but it's very effective in team fights. And that's kind of where Direwolves, once they've shoved their lanes, that's where they have those skirmishes, and that's where they shine.
And also, you talk about fabFabulous being a guy who likes to play tanks. I mean, you have a Skarner on the enemy side. Those tanks, or rather a Trundle on the enemy side. Tank's a lot less effective. However, SuperMassive do complete the Lovers duo here.
And this is where you either pick your mid lane and pinch, or you pick your AD carry Caitlyn, because it would get banned out after this. Pretty much 100%. You would guarantee a Caitlyn ban, maybe potentially like a Jin or a Varus afterward.
And when you look at the side of SuperMassive, giving them a powerful bot lane when we know Zeitnot and SnowFlower are big playmakers is a risky business, but Karma almost confirmed for the mid lane now as the Braum is locked in, and Braum, I think, just going to do what he can to mitigate the pressure that comes out of the Xayah Rakan lane.
So instead of going for a lane where they can have the push advantage with the Karma plus Caitlyn over the Xayah Rakan, they decide to pivot and go for a lane that has a little bit more defensive properties to it. I expect the Caitlyn ban to come out here, and then they would pair this with a Jin or a Varus or potentially an Ezreal. We'll see what happens with the bans in the pinch. But yeah, the Caitlyn ban comes through, and the Braum is also a really good stopper of Ornn. So if you were not going to pick your top laner here, and you were expecting SuperMassive to pick Ornn for themselves, this means you don't have to ban it here.
The ability to interrupt the ult, pretty key. In Zirene, we talked a lot about bot lane maybe getting the push, mid lane getting the push for Direwolves. Karma seems to set them up, but Chippys, one of the big star carry players, it seems like they're saving that last pick for him, and I have to wonder what fabFabulous is going to opt for here. What is even the right choice to blind pick, knowing that you could just get countered here in the draft?
I'm really unsure, because the Trundle is a flex pick for them. I think Ornn is probably one of the safer ones to go for. Ornn Cho'Gath, but Chippys does play Camille. You could go for Gnar, but that's kind of the scary part, is Chippys plays Camille. GP still on the table. I actually think GP, I'm surprised that it's made it this far, and that's potentially a pickup here for either team to help them focus the bottom side of the map. Yeah, I kind of actually forgot about him.
I mean, I think in everything else becoming very powerful, the Kaisa, kind of the Thresh, the target bans, is easy to let go of the stuff that has been successful in the past on previous patches, but Camille and GP as strong as ever. And it looks like, as predicted, Zirene, the GP is now going to get locked in. Chippys is going to get his choice of the counter matchup, but does not stop Gangplank from being an incredibly strong pick overall.
Yeah, fabFabulous had been favoring the Cho'Gath, the Gnar, the Ornn, even the Camille himself. He's only played 3 games of Gangplank, whereas the other champions are 7-7, 7, and 5. So it's very far down the list, but it is a takeaway. It's the most played for Chippys, and that's why I'm surprised that it actually went that far without a ban.
Vladimir now getting locked in as well. The Camille immediately following out. Chippys Camille, legendary in the OPL. Have to see what he can do up against fabFabulous on the top side of the map.
Yeah, they took away the GP, which Chippys is 9-0 on, but he's 7-1 on the Camille. It's his second most played champion, and he knows these matchups. Since he's played so much GP, he knows how to counter it, and we'll see, because now the top lane, I thought it would be decided on the bottom side of the map. Now the top lane is where you have to put a lot of your attention.
And it feels like the second you lock in that Ezreal Braum lane, you're just accepting. You got to respect the Xayah Rakan, you got to back up, let Zeitnot and SnowFlower have the lane, and instead, I mean, we expected only bot lane in this matchup, and now you're right. The shift to the top side is, I just want to see how Direwolves are going to adapt to this, because this isn't something that we saw as much from them outside of the games where Chippys was playing Fiora. Yeah,
this game is going to be really interesting as well, because I look at SuperMassive's composition, lots of damage, and a way to make a tank less durable. They have 3 damage dealers, kind of 4 if you throw in the Trundle there as well. They can mitigate a tank, and there aren't really a lot of tanks on the side of Direwolves. And Direwolves, I feel like if they don't get ahead, they have to find really clever ways to play out fights, because the durability I don't think is high enough to sustain a GP and a Vladimir plus a Xayah Rakan duo in the late game. The engages are something they have to watch out for, because they're going to be very squishy.
And you talked about it. You're predicted first and second playing this matchup. Direwolves versus SuperMassive. You said don't leave anything behind. Go all in for this game, because this is the match that could decide who comes out on top in the end. And they put everything, it feels like, on the top side of the map onto Chippys. All the pressure on the star top laner to carry it home.
And I want to see what happens level 1. Ezreal Braum, a fantastic invade. Easy ways to proc the Q, and you have Klepto. I feel like you go for a level 1 here for Direwolves. You at least try to invade and get maybe some Klepto procs at the least.
We're going to find out. SuperMassive on the blue side, Direwolves on the red, getting into game. What's the level 1 going to look like? For now, that defensive 5-point. No one getting too aggressive to push into enemy territory.
Yeah, I just feel like the level 1 is so good, though, for the Direwolves. Even Karma, because you have access to the R and Q, it's so much damage that you could be dealing, but it looks like they don't want to leave a side of their jungle undefended. And this is kind of typical, I would say, for a team that wants to play defensively, because it's the first game of the tournament for them.
Yeah, you don't want to take risks on a level 1, right? You haven't seen what this team has to offer. You don't even know what their level 1 looks like, so both sides just playing it safe. Neither one looking to go for anything too greedy here. And a little bit of a contest here on the Spire, but not going to follow through for any damage there. No, they don't want to fight Skarner in his territory.
Yeah, just give it up. It's going to be Direwolves getting actually both Spires. So once you go into the river, Shernfire is actually going to feel pretty good about this. I think fabFabulous will take this one back. Trade of gold.
Everybody happy to have a little bit extra money.
They're going to go for the invade here. It's not actually spotted. This is fantastic from Direwolves.
They're looking to catch him, too. You can see on the opposite side, Zeitnot and SnowFlower actually set up to try to catch them as they come into lane. If they take a greedy path, not going to happen. They will get the lane priority, but the red buff is now given up.
But here's the question. If Shernfire goes the same way through the Tri-Brush, they could be a 3-man gank, and look at how far up SnowFlower is.
This is the thing. You talked about the Braum as an invade force early game, but it's just as good at these early ganks. Oh, Zeitnot.
Yep, 3-man.
Here we go. Look for the winner's bite. That's going to be key. Where's it going to go? Zeitnot, is he just going to give up his life? I don't think a flash is going to be enough. Chain CC comes through. So much damage and first blood for the Direwolves.
That is fantastic. They were able to slip around, and they were very conservative with their trinket wards early. SuperMassive didn't put down defensive vision when they left the jungle, and that Direwolves were able to slip in undetected, get the buff, and then have the game start off exactly the way they wanted to.
And this is exactly how we saw day 1 start. The aggressive jungle pathing into the level 2 to the bottom side. Plans just keeps surprising Zirene.
Yeah, at this point, you have to go, okay, where the hell are they at SuperMassive? Because they're not even going across the ward in the river that you placed. And they had to kind of feel like something was fishy, but SnowFlower went forward hoping to kind of catch them out, but it gets completely turned around here. The walk-up, the patience, no summoner spells were used on either side, and the first blood went over to the jungler, which helps because he lost his topside jungle, so he's going to be just fine in golden experience.
Just so good overall. Now we have to see what Stomaged can get back, because for Stomaged at least, he needs to find something. Well, looks like he may just get both Raptors here in the end. Definitely good to have the boon personally, but not going to be able to gank topside, not going to be able to do much else. So it still feels like an advantage to Direwolves.
Yeah, Direwolves advantage for the bottom side, but look at that. Immediately they're going to start trading back. Level 3 for SnowFlower because he got to have some solo experience, so the Rakan gets to hit it up a little bit earlier. Shernfire is going to clear out some wards, but the top side of the map is where I'm looking now, because Chippy's pretty far behind in terms of CS, and he's getting chunked out here by fabFabulous.
And we've heard that this matchup can be quite difficult for the Camille in the early levels. Really hard to leap on top of the GP when he can just cleanse out, heal up, especially with that grasp. Zirene, just so much sustain.
It's a fun matchup. My favorite two Camille matchups are Camille GP and Camille Fiora, because they're just mind games constantly. And because you have two auto attack resets with Camille, contesting barrels is so much fun, and trying to figure out how you can actually exploit the matchup. I'm a little spoiled though, because I've watched Khan do this matchup a lot, and he just straight up dives the GP under turret when he has his passive on. So it's playing around the Camille passive a lot, but look at this, the ward's there. Shernfire has the Predator already.
Comes in, making his way into the lane, gonna look to land from Fracture. He can flash out fabFabulous, though, will take him to safety.
Yeah, gets the flash, and so Shernfire, kind of mission accomplished there. The first Predator is successful.
And if you're a Direwolves fan, this is the shade of Shernfire you wanted to see, because there are games where Shernfire does everything to set this team up for success. There are other games where it starts to fall apart. We'll have to see Stomaged do. It's just going to walk away in the end. The Crystal Spire not going to count against him, but a nice movement speed boost from the Cuddle Crab. And SnowFlower just continuing to go in. King actually in trouble. Ignite taken away. The heal forced out.
They had to actually heal there. The Ignite would have killed him. Remember, it got buffed in previous patches to do more damage, and SnowFlower hit level 4, so it was just a lot of damage ticking in. And King's going to sustain up a bit, hopefully get some Klepto procs and get a potion or something to sustain himself, is what he's looking for here.
And despite the early effort put down on the bottom side, not a whole lot of mounting from him. Of course, Shernfire gets that first blood kill, so he's able to put pressure down on top, but King and Cupcake getting absolutely destroyed here right now in the 2v2.
Yeah, I mean, they are ahead in gold. They are ahead in kind of the level state right now, but I would say the pressure is definitely on them.
And now forced back under the tower. We can see Karma keeping up the pressure in the mid lane, so at least that's going for them, as well as Chippy's pushing on the top side despite some struggles with trading earlier on. And we talked about the top side kind of being the focus for Direwolves, giving the carry pick over to Chippy's, and it does feel like he needs to create a greater advantage here as the game goes forward, especially with his bot lane suffering pretty greatly in terms of at least pressure.
Yeah, I think his lane is also frozen on him right now, so fabFabulous will be able to hold this wave, and Shernfire didn't come up to actually unfreeze it or anything like that, so fabFabulous may be hitting 6 soon, and Stomaged, they know where he is, but the mid laner just back, so Triple can't actually help here.
Shernfire, though.
The bottom lane's actually getting caught in lane, so nobody can really help Shernfire right now.
Of course, not really enough tools in Trundle's kit right now to go for the all-in onto Shernfire, even if he knows he has that isolated 1v1. So just trying to sneak in, disrupt a little bit to the pathing, at least from Shernfire.
Yeah, and you can see SuperMassive, they're pretty much not dissuaded from playing to this side of the map, even though, you know, things went a little awry early on. But Direwolves, I loved that little sound on tape we had at the start, where they said that this is the year where OS gets some results. Because when I look at the OCE results, the Direwolves in 2017 in the international tournaments they played, they went 3 and 8. It looked like it was 3 and 7. They actually played a tiebreaker and lost it against Team 1 eSports. So 3 and 8 in 2017, and that's what they're here to do. When I talked to the Direwolves, they talked about how it's being realistic. They don't expect to like top their group or, you know, make the group stage or slaughter these teams. They expect to be a Pool 1 team and show what OCE has by the end of this tournament.
And honestly, the first step on proving you're a Pool 1 team is beating the other Pool 1 teams. For SuperMassive comfortably there. SnowFlower, though, not playing scared whatsoever. Knows he can just leap right out with that Battle Dance onto Zeitnot. Of course, Cupcake and King very low on mana, not really able to commit to any kind of all-in, even with the jungle there.
Yeah, it's kind of just sticking around to make sure that there's some pressure that you can relieve. I actually want to see what happens here with Stomaged, because he just cleared his red. He's going towards the bottom side of the map, and he knows that they don't have mana, like you said, so a dive is what they could potentially look at. So he's hanging around here.
He's ready to push in. He sees the level 6 coming in from SnowFlower. Of course, as you mentioned, the isolated XP that he got earlier in the game does make it a bit easier. Now they have sole control on the bottom side of the map. Direwolves are going to see that this tower is going to go down, and they're not even looking to go for the swap, so putting themselves in a bit of a difficult spot here. SuperMassive taking this one completely for free, Zirene.
Yeah, that's so much damage that they were able to deal to it. And Shernfire was on the top side of the map, getting his own red buff because it was about to come up. And now he'll just trade sides of the map, but he's not going to be able to get a turret response to this. So that's actually really well played there from Stomaged and SuperMassive.
And there's no Rift Herald either. So if they do decide to go for the Dragon here, Direwolves can't even trade that objective back. Zirene, SuperMassive, really smart decision making.
Yeah, and the fact that they had this kind of the Xayah and Rakan lane from the start with the first pick Rakan, they were able to just pressure them out. They died. They didn't use any summoner spells. They didn't panic. Zeitnot and SnowFlower kind of kept their cool in that situation. And then this is the result. Because if they had actually used some of those spells, then they would have had even more pressure on them.
Triple, though, still going to get aggressive here. He's trying to disrupt. Of course, Shernfire is in the mid lane, taking his time with GBM, trying to throw in a bit of damage, but nothing actually going to come from this.
And now you have to watch for this swap here, because the swap's coming through from SuperMassive. Chippys is half HP, and that's great. I love when the GP ultimate is used to clear the wave, slow the push when this swap comes out. This is so well played here from SuperMassive.
And of course, the gold still looking like it's in the Direwolves' favor. The Kleptomancy definitely making sure that that's the case, but overall, definitely a difficult spot for Direwolves to be in. The first blood, a little bit of Klepto, not enough to keep them ahead for much longer, because once again, they're trading buffs for towers. Not ideal whatsoever.
Yeah, in this bottom lane, the Ezreal does have Sheen, so that'll help him actually knock this turret down, but he still has to wait one more wave. GP will be there in time, but it's going to be just matched. Look at that. One more wave after this, and I think that's how they get this one.
Difficult spot, and GP's going to be able to clear that one right back. It just feels like Direwolves are still behind the play, and I think they just have to accept the losses here. There's really no way to come back at this stage.
The fun thing is that they're behind on the play, and Rift Herald just spawned. So if you do want to get Rift Herald to SuperMassive, they got to have the Drake and the first turret, swap the map and not lose a turret, get a turret in response, and then they get to have another control of the neutral objective.
Literally everything you could possibly want in the early games, right now.
It's the timing.
For SuperMassive, we kind of expected them to be a very kill-heavy team overall, but they're playing it slow and steady. Well, hold that thought, because now they're going to go in on a Shernfire. He's going to try to make his way out. GBM, no hesitation. Flash and the ulti. Triple getting chunked out, but not going to be able to stick around much longer. SuperMassive with a quick pick.
Yeah, SuperMassive with the collapse off of that top lane turret. Got to shove into the tier 2, and Chippys, he's kind of just pushed out of the game and trying to find some farm where he can. GBM, like you said, no hesitation. I love that from him.
That's what we come to expect from this guy. He's always a flashy player, always interesting picks, always goes for the big plays.
Ooh, and I'm loving the Shirellia's something that, you know, it got reworked and kind of put back into the game. Has HP, has ability power, CDR, movement speed, gives everybody movement speed around you. It's just such a cheap item that Vladimir makes use of all of the stats on it.
Yeah, and even, I feel like more ideal, we took out Frost Queen's Claim, another item that Vladimir was so happy to abuse, and we just gave him a different item to abuse with a very similar effect. It's a speed up instead of a slow this time around.
Yeah, but people also like the Frost Queen's Claim. Remember the little passive on it? Whenever you procced the extra gold, it gave you movement speed when you completed the quest. So it was something that like people used that. It was kind of a unsung part of the
strength of the champion.
Yeah, the item. But yeah, Shernfire got caught there in GBM. Whoa, he didn't even need the ultimate there. He actually probably just needed to use that empowered Q, and he would have been fine, but he throws it out just because he wants to.
And it works out. Now, Rift Herald down, picked up by Stomaged. And we talk about the itemization coming in from GBM, but I also want to highlight the Trundle itemization. The Relic Shield comes in, although we're going to have to hold that thought because the GP ult comes out. Oh, we'll try to find the disengage with the Soul Flare, and GBM just really not scared of the competition.
Yeah, I think that's actually fine for Direwolves because they got the GP ultimate, which is actually a pretty big tool when you have to take fights. You always have to kind of consider where the ultimate's going to go and who's it going to hit, because it can really divide fights. So I think that actually favors Direwolves slightly. It's a small thing.
And the little things start to add up if they can keep that train going. Of course, gold still even despite the tower differential. First blood counting in their favor, a little bit of CS advantage in mid. Now Chippys getting that sheen under his belt, starting to feel a little more comfortable in these trades, especially when he's got the wave to back him up. But he's in a bit of a tough spot. Have to see how he does once he gets a few more items under his belt, but that's going to take a long time.
Yeah, items and levels for sure. He's maxed the Q first just to have lower cooldown on the precision protocol, just to hit barrels. But the hook shot, when you have that max level 13, that's when you can really take it to Gangplank. And then once you get your Trinity Force/Tiamat, that's when you feel like a completely different champion. But we'll see. He's actually going right now because he has 2 people coming with him. I think fabFabulous might be dead here.
One auto, going to look for it. Does get the adaptive defenses immediately. The Hextech Ultimatum coming out. Triple on the way. fabFabulous. Not a lot of ways to walk out of this one, but the minions are going to body block the snares. Still going to connect. Chippies. Ooh. Are they going to land the stun? fabFabulous with a fantastic escape, and it feels like a bit of a fumble from Triple.
Yeah, Triple RQs because he can't get past the wave. Throws it right in the wave, and he might die for this.
GBM. He's going to get locked up. The chain CC, will it be enough? The ultimate coming out. They need to kill him before he can heal up. They are going to get him. Shernfire on the way in. Is this the turn that they need? fabFabulous wants one more parlay. No chance. Does get it. Cleanses out. The oranges make it K and just ruin Chippy's day. Does get the kill back.
Wow, I thought GBM actually made it out of that with the Sanguine Pool, but he got hit as Chippys had already put the input in for the second part of the queue. But look at this!
Another fight coming out. Jungler and support versus the AD carry and support. They're trying to disengage, but SnowFlower just has so much CC. Cupcake, though, just managed to walk away in the end, but across the map, just an explosion of aggression, Zirene, from such a calculated, slow macro game to so many picks.
Wow, and so it's going kind of like, it's almost like devolving where it's like, hey, we're trading sides of the map, and that team realizes we're behind, we have to start making these plays. But once the map opens up and you get those tier 1 turrets, it's much easier to make tier 2 plays. And we'll see right here, Triple has the RQ. He flashes after this too, so he doesn't flash to get the RQ damage. He flashes to try and get the tether, but the W hadn't been used by fabFabulous. And GBM actually goes into Sanguine Pool here. It goes on cooldown, but the Q from Chippys was already input, and it doesn't get canceled. You can't cancel that. So we'll see right here. Yeah.
Ooh,
he went. Yeah, I checked the cooldown on it. It went on the 24-second cooldown too, but it had already been in. And fabFabulous, that was so fast too. Oh, he got out of it.
And you could see Chippys. Chippys was walking away. He knew not to go forward. And Gangplank's like, please, please just take a step forward. Gotcha. One shot golden gun, baby. Just the classic moments.
The GPW out of the Skarner ultimate feels really good for GP. Bad for Skarner.
It's really bad for Shernfire and Chippys, though. So close to just getting a flawless execution there to win out on a 2-for-0. But now it's going to be a little bit difficult for them as they try to defend against the Rift Herald. Let's see what the supermassive advantage can grow with this objective.
And this is that last outer turret that needs to be taken here for SuperMassive, but you can see 3-4 people around this area. They'll be able to actually get that Rift Herald. This was kind of used to go towards that Infernal Drake here and get priority in mid for SuperMassive. But I think a fight's going to happen here. We have a lot of ultis. Pretty much everybody's except for Cupcakes and SnowFlowers.
SnowFlower, eyes on him. He's going to look for the Battle Dance in. Has to use the ult. He's going to land the charm. Connect too much there. Gangplank ult comes in as well. Direwolf's trying to make their way up. GBM immediately into the backline. Finds his way under the Ezreal. Is going to do so much damage. Popped out by fabFabulous in the end. And SuperMassive just cleaning up the fight.
SuperMassive have so much damage. They may not be done here. You see Zeitnot going forward, and there it is.
Be careful, SnowFlower once again. The pillar actually stopping it. Pushing Triple out to safety. SnowFlower making his way out. A bit of a fumble there, saving the life of the Direwolves, and now they're doing everything they can to hold on.
Yeah, they got so low off that. SnowFlower almost dead, so I feel like now you have to go and just take that Infernal Drake. But Shernfire's back on the field. We'll see if they go for some harass. They don't have vision control. SuperMassive can kind of choke them out of the vision.
Comes the Ezreal ulti.
Oh! It was 11! It was so close.
That's a clincher. Zirene do get it down in the end. Well played to SuperMassive, and you talked about them having so many damage threats. I mean, you can see it here.
Yeah, and that's what I was worried about after Champion Select, was there's so much damage and so many threats from SuperMassive, but on Direwolf's side, they don't have the tankiness for it. GBM on the top side, fabFabulous on the left, and then on the bottom you have Zeitnot. They're actually just getting pinched in from all directions. So as an AD carry, as a mid laner, you're going, where do I run? And you saw King, he doesn't really have anywhere he can run in that and be safe. So it really kind of sucks in those positions, but it was really well played by SuperMassive to actually pinch him in.
And the thing is, Zirene, I feel like when a Vlad is strong, you cannot peel him off of you, and this is a fast Vlad. This is a Spellbinder Shirelia's Vlad.
Yeah. I'm looking at the items now, and the Spellbinder gives you that movement speed burst when you activate it. It has movement speed on it and a lot of ability power. But I also want to talk about the Targon's Brace for Stomaged, because I thought that this might happen, and I talked to some teams and they said, no, it's not really happening. But I think this will become more and more meta as the tournament goes on, is the Targon's Brace has that ward passive when you actually get it stacked up, right? But the way you get it stacked up now is cannon minions. You just saw right there, Stomaged got 90 gold off that. You only need 500 gold to get the wards. So you go mid, you get the cannon minion, then you go to a different wave, and you get that cannon minion. And just like, I've almost got it completed.
You're going to have to hold that thought, because the Hextech called the main. I'm going to stop fabFabulous from using that blast cone out. A flash over for Chippys. Kill is going to go down to Shernfire in the end. fabFabulous getting picked off. Small advantage over to Direwolves here.
Yeah, but that means Chippys, he's got that Trinity Force, is going to start getting him rolling. He's up in CS now. So the side lane push, the side lane split push threat is online now for Direwolves.
Cupcake, though, moving forward. They want to take down Zeitnot. Still has the ultimate available. Ready to go. GBM, that's going to be one fast Vlad right into the back line. Hitting 2 with the ultimate. Out comes the Tides of Blood. He's going to do so much damage. Does get locked up for a brief moment. Is he going to take it down? Cupcake finding the opportunity. Chippys doesn't hit the wall. That's not what you want. Tactical sweep. Cool. Just enough healing to keep him safe. Zirene, messy fight.
Man, GBM coming in from the side, it looked like he was about to just obliterate everyone, but it's not as high ability power and like survivability as previous Vlad builds, right? He has the Shurelius, it doesn't have that much on it. It's 40 and then 200 HP, and so he's pretty squishy, but he got such a good ultimate. It looked like he was going to survive. It was just barely that he went down.
He's moments away from the Crimson Rush. Would have healed up immediately off of any of those transfusions, but just could not make it happen. And now, 5-5. I felt like SuperMassive was dominating the early game. They made so many smart macro plays, but now it feels like Direwolves are just trading blow for blow here.
Yeah, it's kind of gone down to a point where it now comes down to the fights. They're pushing Zeitnot off to the side, and then GBM comes in, the charm comes down on Shernfire, and then when he comes up, oh, man, Shernfire dies while pulling him back, and then GBM almost gets out. Chippys, I don't know what would have happened there if he had landed that E. If he had gone after Zeitnot, maybe that's the optimal play, but still, he gets out with his life. But we're looking at an even game here as Baron is spawning.
Maybe not what SuperMassive were expecting after they got so much in the early game, but you can see the gold value is still very even, still very ready to fight. Have to see how Chippys fares, though, on the side lane as we continue. He's had the support of Shernfire multiple times now to try to set him up for success, but can he be a solo point to actually carry across the map?
Yeah, it's kind of, got to split push and then make sure you can beat the Gangplank. He's 2 levels up, about a level after GP clears this wave. And now he's taking the farm in the jungle. I like this when a split pusher does this because it means that he's going to be even further ahead. He'll start taking the camps, and then you'll be able to actually have that win condition and keep the GP from the fights.
But to be clear, not in solo queue, right? Because you as a jungle main don't want to sell your own rollout here live on broadcast.
Absolutely. If I'm carrying, like, let me have them. But there's some games where I'm like, oh, just take it. I'm useless. I play a lot of tanks.
Too wholesome, Zirene. You got to be selfish.
No,
you got to play the carries.
Like to win. I don't need to be the one who wins the team.
If you're not winning on Yasuo, is it really a win, Zirene? That's my mentality.
Oh boy, man, winning on Yasuo. I mean, we'll talk about that some other time. Somebody will play Yasuo with Conqueror at some point.
I hope to see it at some point in the mid lane. We've heard of rumors, rumblings. Now Direwolves. Shernfire potentially walking to his death, but will not approach the bush there.
Yeah, that is a death brush if I've ever seen one. But everybody's just going, all right, full tendency mid. GBM's going to maybe wrap around. I think they spotted him.
GBM wants to go fast. It's a pillar there for the disruption. GBM, is he going to pop those item actives? Predator now used. Shernfire running for GBM, trying to isolate the lone flank on that pincer.
I don't know exactly what's going on here because Chippys was in base, and he's the split pusher. Direwolves want to split push, and basically 1-3-1. They have double TP. They have a way to kind of split the map. And if fabFabulous can't actually answer Chippys, who's 32 CS ahead right now, then that just becomes a win condition. You don't need to group and fight. You need to split push and just put pressure on the entire map.
Now Shernfire could be in a bit of a tough spot, or Stomaged is maybe overstayed as well. Maz used the ultimate, the immediate turn back. Beautiful ultimate coming in from the Rakan, but Camille is right there in the middle of everything, throwing out the damage, biting it home, but King still alive on the backside. GBM wants to get something. He's burning down. He's not out yet. GBM can't get it. Direwolves managed to make it out alive. It is just a 1-for-1 in the end.
Yeah, when they cluster up like that, you just have the Vlad ultimate and then a whole bunch of feathers everywhere from Zeitnot. Everybody's taking so much damage. It's so hard to keep track of what is going on. And look at this, the Baron being started up. There's TP from Triple to get back into the fight.
The support for jungle trade. Zirene definitely going in the favor of SuperMassive. King throwing down the ultimate. Tries to get a bit more. Triple. Good damage going in. Chippys, I feel like he's ready to go in, but doesn't want to risk anything here.
I like this. You push them off, get mid-priority, get Infernal Drake for Direwolves so that you can actually even up the Infernal Drake count.
Now Surefire's up as well, so he'll be there. He'll be ready to contest. And of course, Stomaged going back means not really any options. Mid lane tower, the first priority here for Direwolves. And the first time in the game. Feels like Direwolves really taking control of the tempo game.
Yeah, finally they get that middle turret. That'll help them get other turrets, but also gives them priority to that bottom side. They have to watch the Baron, though. That's the one thing that could slip out from underneath their noses, but it looks like SuperMassive are
thinking about it.
Yeah, they're thinking about it.
They're getting that vision control, Zirene.
Gotta spook them.
And maybe, are they just going to wait in a bush? Are they going to look for another strategy? Are they just settling for vision control? Because you talked about how many damage threats are on this team. Yes, it makes it easy to kill people, but it also makes it easy to kill Baron. Shernfire, the pick. Not going to get knocked out. The leap in and the leap out from SnowFlower.
They just need to avoid fights. Chippys is in the side lane, once again, just continuing to push. And there's a lot of gold on these members right now. There's 2,000 on King who really wants to back, and people are starting to spend some of that gold here. I wonder what the build is for King later, because I've been watching a bit of games on live, and people are going double tier on Ezreal to get the Archangel staff. It's kind of a super late game. You stack up one tier, then you stack up another. But it really does have a lot of benefits to it. But it doesn't look like that's what he's going for. He hasn't even backed yet. And this Baron has been started up. There's the Scryers, so they see it.
Is now spotted out. Shernfire in the general vicinity, but it is getting burned down quite quickly. No GP means it's a bit of a slower Baron. The TP now being used. SuperMassive.
They got
all they wanted was the TP.
Yeah, they got the TP, which means Chippys can't split push anymore. If you want to have Chippy split push, he has to split push top lane because that's the closest lane to the Baron. So it's going to change the lane assignment here for Direwolves if they're going to continue that kind of 4-1 split.
Bit of a difficult situation to be in, too, is Camille looking for more lane pressure, goes for the Tiamat, but we're ever closer to the Sterex on the side of fabFabulous. Incredibly powerful spike in terms of individual items. See when he can go back and get it. Still that 30 CS lead on the top side of the map, and Direwolves going blow for blow, but SuperMassive still finding these small advantages.
And it looks like Chippys, they're actually putting it on the bottom side of the map because fabFabulous doesn't have TP either. I don't agree with this, but I want to see what happens because if SuperMassive decide to punish this, or it looks like they don't think he'll be there, and that's what's going to give him a kill.
Going to commit forward. The rest of the team now ready on the Baron. SuperMassive may just lose out here if they take down fabFabulous. What else can they turn it into? He's still on the run. Hookshot goes in. He doesn't manage to connect it in the end. The wall dive, not quite enough. So many resources burned just to try to kill fabFabulous, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, ended up shorting the hookshot there, and Flash wasn't able to follow. So fabFabulous, he gets away. They trade flashes, but that was a good play from Direwolves because there's no reason for Chippys to be there from a macro sense, which actually makes it a good play if you're going by the book. Because if you go by the book, you can read that he's going to go top lane. And if you say he has no reason to be bottom, it ends up being a good play. It's kind of like that next level where it's like, it's so bronze, it's challenger.
I make plays like that a lot.
Yeah. It's like when the Janna should go back to lane, but then she like ganks mid. It's like, why is she here?
Can't predict it.
Why is Chippys there?
That's why I can't hit hooks. It's because people aren't good enough.
Exactly. you overestimate.
I overestimate. Yeah, that's the problem. I'm not bad. They're bad.
They're just not.
It's everybody else's fault, Zirene. I'm never culpable. But SuperMassive, I think it's interesting to see, Zirene, because I feel like SuperMassive have been playing fantastically as this 5-man unit. It feels like everybody has a little bit of burden in terms of the carry potential. And on the opposite side, King has had a little bit of utility, Triple with a little bit of utility, but it still feels like all eyes are on Chippys in terms of individual carries.
Yeah, Chippy is kind of the one who's, it's a 4-1 split push composition. It can 1-3-1, but you usually use the Karma for everybody to escape engages. And just have Chippys have an advantage where he can actually 1v1. But Baron started up here, SuperMassive, trying to force.
Has to be here. 4-5 members on both sides, neither one looking to get too aggressive. Predator now used, though, making sure Shernfire is kind of threatening here. And you have to respect GBM. Fully stacked Spellbinder. Can just look to go in at any moment. That is going to be one fast Vladimir if he finds the opportunity.
Oh, they're on him.
Now trying to get the stun on him. Immediately going to lock him with the pool, not take him out to safety. All that extra movement speed not going to amount too much. The extra AP is going to help to turn the burn. The execution, beautiful fight. Comes in, exposing the flank and taking it out in the end. SuperMassive now just running down their prey. They've gotten 2 so far. Are they going to back off or are they going to keep it going? Triple doing what he can to disrupt, to try to get his bot lane out to safety. SuperMassive, though, not going to step any further. They got what they want.
Man, you're seeing this just deadly combo of so much pass-through damage. When they throw down the GBM's ultimate, the Hemo Plague, it's just so much. And like I said at the start, there's basically no tanks in this game. Maybe a Braum. You have like half a tank with the Skarner, but nobody is a true beef ball. And so that means just comes down to these paper fights.
So good at just taking down the damage amp, especially with Zeitnot in the middle of everything is so good. Triple, though. Throwing down a bit of poke. King here as well. Cupcake on the way. They say, hey, we might be willing to give up this Baron, but we're ready to take the fight afterward. Baron, where's it going to go? Does get taken down by SuperMassive in the end. Cupcake now backing off. Triple and King not sure exactly what they want to do. Cannot afford to get stunned. There's far too much damage, but still not willing to give this one up for free.
Yeah, they want to at least get something. They may get this top turret. SnowFlower and fabFabulous super low. King actually didn't go through the jungle to try and, like, cut them off.
Trying to stop the recalls. Once again, minions. Biggest enemy here of Triple.
But that's Baron for the TCL, and this game has been pretty much even, and they've been forcing Baron over and over and over again, and they've just had superior ward control, superior vision in that area. A lot of that is just people buying so many pink wards, but then they also have double sweeper, and they have the relic shield, or the sight stone, on Stomaged, so they just can place down an immense amount of vision that can be cleared, because it's only single sweeper on the side of Direwolves. They can't actually clear out everything.
And not just that, Zirene, but it also just feels like the response. SuperMassive feels so coordinated here to save GBM.
Yeah, GBM with the Hemoplague into the pool, and then such a good charm there, and W from SnowFlower. Even though SnowFlower gets ultied, it doesn't matter. They just get obliterated. The follow-up CC and the collapse. But hold on.
fabFabulous, though, may have to give up his Baron buff in this exchange. He's going to proc there. Wants to heal up at least a little bit. They wait for it before they use the ultimate, but Chippys is going to take down the tower. A lot of damage going in there. Wants to heal up. Shernfire getting to the end. So close to turning against them.
Yeah, that was a clincher. fabFabulous. He had the Sterix. They thought he would go down a little bit faster, and he didn't, and he almost popped Chippys there. He had to use the W, and he got suppressed afterwards. So they just kind of layered their CC. Because he had no flash, there was no way out.
It's a really difficult position to be in. Luckily, they are able to grab the kill. They give up a top-tier tower. Shernfire going to try to fire back with an Ocean, evening up the Drakes in the game, but the gold, the pressure on the map continuing to grow for SuperMassive.
But if they can trade a bottom turret for that top turret and not lose more, then that's good for Direwolves. But SuperMassive, if they can break this turret and get into the base, then that's a big win for them. And the Baron is basically a success.
A Rakan, a Trundle, paired with the damage threat of a Vladimir and a Xayah feels really risky for Direwolves to step too far forward in this situation.
Yeah, SuperMassive are going to have to back here, but Chippys will get the red buff on the opposite side, clear some of that jungle, and just try to continue to be a split push threat. I wonder how much gold he has right now. He has 2,600 to spend. I was sitting there going, he's got to have more than just that in the inventory. So he'll complete the Titanic Hydra and be... Oh, actually, no, it's the Sterix is what he's going to go for there.
There's so much synergy with the true damage that comes out on Precision Protocol.
Yeah.
Will make this matchup a little bit easier for him.
It also synergizes with the Trinity Force because it gives you base damage, which is what Trinity Force multiplies.
So gross. It's like 50 base damage, which turns into 100 extra Trinity Force proc damage.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
See why both top laners are going for it. And interestingly enough, we're seeing more carries in the top lane, Zirene. None of them take Conqueror. However, none of the Conqueror carries are showing up. It's all the kind of classics we saw back in 8-5 on our respective playoffs.
Well, it's because we see a lot of the, these guys don't need to run Conqueror, and they're not up against a tank. But it does give you an opportunity on, like, red side to, like, pick a Yasuo into something with Conqueror. Kled, I think we'll probably see later on in the tournament, too. One of the best Conqueror users, especially when up against tanks.
See if that's the choice. fabFabulous. Poking in on Chippy's actually willing to go under that tower just to proc the Grasp of the Undying, and heals right back up. So much sustain just from that Grasp proc. Triple doing what he can to clear the way, but unfortunately Karma just not quite the strongest control mage when it comes to clearing out these Baron-powered cannon creeps. But the Baron buff does fall off. SuperMassive are going to look for the engagement. Once again, they find the knockup. Chippys is getting pulled back. That is everything that they wanted. Vladimir in the middle of the team. Chippys holding on for dear life. He's burning down. One more shot. Going to land home to get the double kill over to GP, and King just grasping at scraps at this point. It may just give his life in the exchange. A little too greedy, but no one there for the follow-up, and now it's just Shernfire.
He's got to skitter away. Get away, little buggy.
Not going to get it, Zirene. SuperMassive just dominating the fight in the end. Not even concerned about the last few members standing. King and Shernfire versus the world. Will SuperMassive just try to end it here?
There's just so much damage from this composition. You saw them slaughter that fight. SuperMassive are going to try to open up MSI on a win.
Exactly what they want. Pushing in for the Nexus. Shernfire looking to hold on. They're running out of options. No more creeps here. Shernfire still wants to get it. King still untouched. Now Braum is respawning, but the Nexus is exposed. They can just ignore the champions, walk it down, and end the game. A first win for SuperMassive.
32 minutes. It was neck and neck for so long, but the macro, the Baron, is what broke the game open. They had a kind of an advantage there in the split push afterwards. They were able to just group up and force these fights. So they didn't fall into the hands of the Direwolves in their composition. Instead, they played to their own strengths, and you're seeing why SuperMassive, pretty much the favorites coming in.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the damage stats after the game. King doing so much, but you can see kind of the difference. All that damage coming from team fights. On the opposite side for SuperMassive, the beautiful execution between SnowFlower and GBM, the Trundle pillars there, and Xayah felt like Zeitnot got to sit in every fight untouched, Zirene. No one could jump on top of him because they're too worried about every other champion that's leaping into their face.
Man, the fact that the GP Vladimir made it to the same side for the TCL.
In the last rotation.
Yeah, it's one where
rotation.
They really wanted to counterpick top lane, and it meant that they gave up the GP. fabFabulous defaults to tanks usually. Like I said, 23, I believe 23 of his 32 games he had played on tanks. 23 of his 36 games he had played on tanks. So it's kind of the departure from his normal style is when he plays those carries, but he seemed at home on it.
And that's the kind of adaptation we want to see on this stage. New patch, you're playing against new teams. It is not your regional meta. And already, SuperMassive's showing us something new. It's a good sign for the team moving forward. Does give credence to everyone who kind of put them at the top of the group. And now on the opposite side for Direwolves. Bit of a rough loss there to start off the tournament.
Yeah. You can see King definitely hurt him a lot there because that was a game where it was even for so long. They were staying in it. They got the first blood on the bottom side. They had actually pushed Zeitnot out of the lane, and then they were the ones who lost first turret. The bottom lane was not what was played to. And so they have to kind of go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, and even then, when they were going even in the mid-game, it all came down to a single fight around that 27-minute mark. SuperMassive getting that clutch turnaround that ends up giving them the Baron. So important. We can look at it one more time. It's just good coordination from SuperMassive.
GBM constantly looking for flanks, fantastic approaches to the fight. You can tell he knows how to team fight. It is another instinct for him. It's a sixth sense for him. And SnowFlower was there to back up his Korean brethren.
It's just a good look.
It's a really good way to play League of Legends. And a lot of Vladimirs will just kind of ham-fist their way into fights. But I love the way that GBM was approaching pretty much flank every single time.
I mean, that time he did kind of get caught, to his credit, but he did play it flawlessly to get out alive. And then just relied, trusted that his team could be there to collapse, was willing to burn all of his cooldowns, knowing they could turn it, and still lives in the end.
Yeah, one of the things when you're trying to catch a Vladimir is you have to take into account that he's going to have so many ways to survive for so long. The HP heal up, the fact that he builds a little bit tanky, a little more durability, has the Sanguine pool. Sometimes they even have Zhonya's on top of it, but you have to kind of account for the fact that you have to kill him before he can actually wait for his team to get there or stall for them.
You absolutely do. Well, Worlds 2014 Brazil's Kaboom shocked everyone when they sent Alliance out of the tournament. In our next game, they make their return to the international stage against Japan's Pentagram. Don't miss it.